Three, two, one. Ted. Ted
Yeah,
and Ted
10.
quote. Ted quote. Insert Ted
There's
quote
so
of the
much
month.
porn. There we go.
Oh God. Yeah. Welcome to Campy Cast once again. Um. And yeah, I don't really have much of a big introduction here. I don't think
Yeah,
we
this
need
is a
to
big episode, though.
Yeah,
I'm
sort of.
very excited. Well, this is a big
Yeah.
deal for me, considering my background as the Seth MacFarlane expert.
Yeah,
But
that's why his icon in the thumbnails is Brian Griffin now. So, yeah,
yeah,
Family Guy's been a huge part of this channel so far. I mean, we put at least we put it in the thumbnails. We've
yeah,
hinted something like this would one day happen. So today, we're gonna talk about Seth MacFarlane's filmography from Ted: A Million Ways to Die in the West, and the sequel to Ted. So,
yeah. Ted 2.
yeah,
All three are interesting in different ways,
uh huh.
but none of them are very good. But they're fun to talk about, so that's why we're here today. With all three.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before we get to that, I guess there's some stuff. I guess not much big news. If I'm being honest, since the gap isn't as like big as the last one was episode wise, when we had to cover like multiple news that was all over the internet that we might have missed at the time. So yeah, but something that I think is worth mentioning because it just like really stood out. But like it has been 1 second. Just gonna fix this. There we go. Anyways, it has been recently confirmed that there will be a fifth Toy Story movie, and not just that, Zootopia 2 and a third Frozen movie. And these are some interesting announcements that were mainly might have been announced to cover the fact that at the exact time Disney has also fired 7,000 of their employees. So let's just say this was not a very good week for Disney. So, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the short of it, I think well, maybe not all three, but these announcements, all of them are worrying. Obviously, 7,000
Well,
employees is worrying on its
oh
own,
yeah,
considering that's
that's the worst one.
thousands of
Even
people
yeah,
out of a
that's the
job.
yeah,
And
that's
then, if you're
stupid.
talking about the actual film announcements, uh, Toy Story 5 is easily the one that I think will be the worst
I
because,
think
like,
Zootopia 2 may be good because like I think there's more you could do with the world. I'll give it that. Frozen 3 is pretty unnecessary, and I don't have hopes for it. But oh well. I don't really care about that. It's just I'm just immune to the Frozen
I
hype
just
at this
don't
point.
like the Frozen movies in general, and I don't see what you
I don't
can do
hate
with a
them.
Frozen 3.
I mean, I
But
dislike Frozen 2, but I still don't like
I
despise
think
it.
Frozen 2 is pretty bad, but I don't really care about it that much. I'm not passionate about it being
They're
terrible or anything.
passable movies, but they're not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like they make so much money still for Disney, so they're just gonna keep making it and never. Yeah, feels like Frozen never needed a sequel, but Disney wanted it because money. So we'll see. But Toy Story 5 is the one that everyone's paying attention to because it's just we haven't talked about Toy Story on this podcast, and we could one day perhaps, but
Perhaps. Maybe.
I
But
I already I'm already as of late not looking back at Toy Story 4 all that fondly. I think it's just like a lot of the writing, and I do just wish that it just ended after 3, you know? I just like
yeah,
everyone people were already mad with a Toy Story 4, you know? And
yeah.
looking back, I don't even like Toy Story 4. So let's just say I feel like that I just like, and now they're making a fifth one, and now where do you even go at this point? It's like this is like what we said in Puss in Boots 2 of what we thought what was gonna happen with Shrek 5, which I'm still not even sure if Shrek 5 is even happening, but I think it's probably gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen.
The main thing with Toy Story 5 at least happening is because Toy Story 3, obviously, that should have definitely been the end.
Yeah.
Happened, even though it was really unnecessary, there was still technically room they could go and just like they had stuff they could fuck up, and they did. Both Toy Story 5, spoilers for Toy Story 4, I guess, even though everyone's seen this movie. Like, all the main characters are like split apart, and the entire like universe of Toy Story is basically destroyed, like world building wise. So, and like your main characters are literally split apart. The only
Yeah,
thing a Toy Story 5 could do is just retcon 4. And if they retcon 4, then yeah, I guess that would make it better since four's ending is terrible. But also, if the entire purpose of 5 is just to reverse 4, then that just makes both of them pointless. And I'd rather just ignore 4 than having a movie undo 4. Like, in the grand scheme of things,
yeah.
I'd rather just
I
have the
think
first 3 movies.
four
It's not.
has like Toy Story 4 has a potentially good ending. That like when you look at it at first, you think it's like, oh, that's sweet. But when you give in the context of the writing, the whole thing falls apart, and it just feels really forced. It doesn't work at all in the grand scheme of things, and it just makes me wish that it just ended at Toy Story 3. So the fact that they're just like making a fifth one, just like where do you even go at this point? What do you add to this world? Who would the villain be? Like, what new things can you do that you haven't already done?
Thing is, the
You
only
know?
thing I can maybe see outside if they just reverse Toy Story 4, which yeah, that could happen. That would be like odd. That would be dumb still, because
Yeah.
I hate Toy Story 4, but I don't want an entire movie like pretending it didn't happen. I could just ignore it normally. But the only other thing I could see maybe happening is it's like one of those like Toy Story shorts they did in like the mid 2010s, like stretched out to feature length. I feel like that could be like the Toy Story that Time for God or the Halloween one.
I hate those.
They that might do some. It might just feel like a spin-off story, but at feature length. And if they do something like that, that's technically less damaging. But also, I don't understand that doesn't need to happen either.
Yeah,
Like, there's
exactly.
no real
It's just
real
like
point to
I
that.
don't know. It's just I heard about it at first and I thought it was fake. I thought no way. There's no way they're actually doing
I
this.
had to
There's no
double
way.
check when I first saw that. I
Yeah,
had
so
to
like
like
this
take.
this has to be a joke, right? Like what do you even do at this point, right? But no, Disney sure does love money. So not only did they announce this, but also like they announced that they fired 7,000 workers. And the other two sequels they are announced are passable. I don't have anything really to say about those. Like, I guess it's like those are passable. Um, but like this is just annoying. I mean, like I guess I didn't like Toy Story 4, so I guess I'm kind of glad that's not how the franchise will actually end. But at the same time, what other way can you end this franchise at this point?
Yeah, and like theoretically, even if it's better, I still don't see good at all.
It
Like, there's
feels like
nothing there.
that. It feels like Toy Story 5. I expect it to be like maybe a side adventure, you know? Because like I
Yeah,
don't think you can do something like this anymore. Like it was technically possible to make a Toy Story 5 after Toy Story 4 ended, but like why would you? It's just
hmm
such a I just really it's just like I don't like how they're doing this, you know? It's just like it's clearly being
yeah,
done for money, you know? Toy Story 4 also already felt like a cash grab. Felt like there was just like
which it
no
is.
reason to make it. But in this
Yeah,
case now, this is just double the cash grab. Just
yeah, but
double. They
like,
doubled it. They made it worse.
but no, thing is, what I will say, at least when Toy Story 4 was obviously a cash grab idea, and I don't think it should have existed. But I will say, like, at least Toy Story 4 doesn't feel like Toy Story 5 right now, the fact they announced it right as like that amount of layoffs happens, it feels like they just announced it to cover up for something. And like that to me on its own just feels scummy. How they're like, oh no, ignore the fact that we like made thousands of people lose their jobs. Look, new movie in your new franchise that's happening. That just feels
Yeah, it's like
disgusting
they're
to
just
me.
distracting us from what is actually happening at
Yeah,
Pixar at the moment.
yeah, and also I'm gonna
Disney.
be honest. I'd rather have a Lightyear 2 than this,
I
cause
think they
like
might like spoilers for Lightyear, but I don't think anyone watching this cares about spoilers for Lightyear. But
Yeah.
but like they tease in an after credit scene as potential sequel.
Mm.
But like honestly, I wouldn't care if they made a sequel to Lightyear.
Well,
Like
Lightyear kind of underperformed by Disney standards, so I don't think they'd
I don't
want
think they're
to,
even
at
gonna
least right
follow
now.
up on that credit scene. I don't think they're gonna do that. So,
I doubt they
but
would,
I'd rather
honestly.
that
But
because at least Lightyear is a new type of franchise. You know, at least it's not entirely tied to Toy Story. Toy Story. Toy Story is a brand. You know, it attempts to be its own thing, and it does a poor job at being its own thing. But still, it's at least not ruining the Toy Story franchise.
well, I mean, technically, they like mess up lore with how like
Yeah, a little, kind
technically
of,
they
but
technically
like it's
messes
not
up
a
stuff, but like much less so than what Toy
yeah,
Story
it's not
4
like a
does. So,
major, you know. It just you could
yeah,
tell by the market they were really hammering it that this is a movie in a movie. It's a movie in the movie universe that a kid saw, and that's how he wanted to buy a Buzz Lightyear toy. That's what happened. So
yeah,
yeah. Um. So yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say. It's just like
yeah.
it's a cash grab. I don't know if it'll be better or worse than Toy Story 4, but I just don't think there's a reason to make another one. You know, at this point, when are they gonna end? Huh? What are they gonna do after this? How long is this
I
franchise gonna
genuinely
go?
don't know. Just
Just ridiculous.
it,
Now I'm never gonna trust them when they end when Toy Story 5 ends. I'm like, that's not the ending. That's not ending. They're gonna have to make another one at some point. Like it's like they keep trying to not make Toy Story sequels, but they just can't resist the urge. Like I knew after Toy Story 4 they'd find a way to bring Toy Story back, and that's how Lightyear was made. But now Toy Story 5 just feels like a bit of a stretch, and I'm just annoyed by that.
like Lightyear's terrible. Like I could, we probably won't discuss this on the podcast ever, but yeah, just that movie's really bad as we've gone over.
Unless
But
we quickly talk about it in the 2022 ranking video,
But
I
yeah,
guess.
maybe it depends if we have
Or
stuff to
whatever
say
we're
about it.
doing for that. I don't know. We don't know if
Yeah,
it's a
but
ranking. We don't know if we'll just talk about the movies, but we'll see.
we'll see. But like overall, still it just doesn't like I don't know, like at least something like I said, at least something like Lightyear is actively less like damaging than something like Toy Story like 4 was.
Exactly.
And now they're like actively fucking with it again, which like yeah, even if they reverse it, it's still just gonna be a pointless movie on its own. And like and
Yeah.
I this is like the most and I've seen comparisons to this actually. Like you want to know another movie that tried to undo a bunch of stuff the last one did because people didn't like it? Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Uh
That
oh.
movie tried doing the undoing the Last
Oh.
Jedi because that movie sucks.
We all know how
But
that turned out.
yeah, that didn't really work either. So like
Yep.
yeah, even if it reverses stuff, it's not going to be a good movie that like stands on its own
Yeah,
at all.
I do not have too much hopes for Toy Story 5, especially since it also may not help that I have not really liked the last two Pixar movies. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
Elemental will be good. We'll see when that comes out, but I don't know. I don't
Yeah, we
know.
already went over Lightyear, but Turning Red, I that
Not much
movie's kind
better.
of trash too. Nah, you're not
Maybe
gonna
kind of
lie, kind
worse.
of trash. And then, well, I like Luca, which is before that a lot actually,
Yeah,
but
I
then
like
I don't know.
Luca and Soul. I like those in terms of
I
modern
still haven't
Pixar.
seen Soul weirdly, but yeah, I don't know. And then Elemental doesn't look that good, if I'm being honest. Like, might not be awful,
I
but just
mean,
from
like,
like the
there's
looks of it,
potential
I
here.
think.
I'll see. It could be nice. I don't know. I can see what there's potential here. You know, it's from the director of The Good Dinosaur, but I don't think that atrocity was his fault. I think it was just its
I mean, that
troubled
was like a
production.
studio disaster.
Yeah.
That's
So
not entirely his fault for that,
yeah.
but
So let's hope he can redeem himself. So yeah, that's I guess that's what we have to say about the Toy Story 5 announcement. So we'll see when that comes out. I'd say like probably sometime this decade. late this decade. Because
Yeah,
like,
no, because like Pixar's already has their schedule for like the next few years, so
yeah, they're
realistic.
gonna make
I don't know.
Elemental next, and there's this movie about a kid and aliens called Elio, and then there's an
Well,
Inside
then
Out
Inside Out
2.
too, which that was
I mean,
announced too relatively recently.
I
I
guess
will
so.
say
We'll see.
that Inside Out 2 technically has more it can do because it like
Yeah,
Inside Out
it's a
is already like
creative
in-depth
world. We'll
concept.
see. Could be
But
cool.
also I don't have much hopes for that either, but theoretically it could be. I think it'll be
Yeah,
better than
I guess
at
mainly
least a couple of
because
these upcoming
ignoring
sequels,
Toy
but
Story 2 and Toy Story 3, most of the other sequels Pixar have made have not really been all that good. So,
yeah.
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 I guess that's it. Should we go to the main
Yeah.
topic of the video? Also,
I think
we're
so.
recording this while the Super Bowl's on, so I guess, yeah, there's some stuff like that. I guess the
I don't watch
Flash.
football. I don't know what's going on
I
right
don't
now.
either. So like,
I don't even know
yeah,
who's
the
I don't even
Flash
know who's
trailer
playing right
came
now.
out with Ezra Miller, and they're actually attempting to advertise him in the movie because I saw like, it seems like they're not like hiding his face because like, I don't know, because I guess it was too late for them to fire Ezra Miller.
Nah, there was like one poster where they like put the Flash in the distance so you couldn't see his face that well,
Oh
but
yeah.
no. And in the trailer, Ezra Miller,
Yeah,
front and
there's
center,
two Ezra Millers
classic
technically
Ezra.
if you've seen the trailer, because I guess that's what the Flash plot's gonna revolve around. I don't have anything really to say about the trailer, so you'll just have to wait for our discussion of that film later in June. I think it comes out in June. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, let's move on to the start of Seth MacFarlane's filmography with Ted. Ted. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite Seth MacFarlane film.
Oh yeah, yeah, easily. He didn't ginormously fuck up on the first try, surprisingly. Good old
Well,
Seth MacFarlane.
technically, if you want to count Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story,
Yeah, there's technically
technically,
four, but like
theoretically,
we're not counting that because like even in the show Family Guy, they admitted that like it's just 3 episodes snatched together. It doesn't feel like a movie. Okay, if we're rating that as a movie, I don't think it even works. And apparently,
yeah.
according to Letterboxd, the movie's not even directed by Seth himself. So
Okay, that's true. He's just in it.
yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
we wouldn't
he made
actually talk
Family
about
Guy
that.
though, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy, made 3 different movies. Hasn't made a new one since. He's moved on to stuff such as starring as the mouse in the Sing movie. That just the Sing
Yeah,
movie because he wasn't in the
and
second
mainly,
one.
I guess mainly now, he just does the Orville, which I've seen the first season of the Orville.
The Orville, I
A
haven't
lot
seen
better than most of Seth's other works. That's clearly what he's passionate about.
that. He's been doing
But
the
before
Orville.
any of that, his only live action works were these 3 movies.
Yep.
So
Uh,
it truly
yeah.
has some significance,
There's
I
something.
think.
Let's talk about Ted. Let's talk about Ted. Good
Right.
old Ted. I saw this last year.
Yes.
Watched both Ted movies, and I didn't hate it. I didn't mind the first Ted movie. I actually didn't hate it. You know, I don't blame if someone doesn't like it. I don't blame them. This is like I can understand. This is a film I can understand someone not liking, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy it. I understand if some people don't like it, but for what it
Yeah,
was,
thing is, this is way better than it should be for what the concept is
it's not
and when
good.
and
I wouldn't say it's good, but like
well, thing is, I really like this movie, but it's not that good. I'm willing to
it's
admit.
not good. I have issues, but yeah, it's a pretty simple premise that I actually kind of like. It follows Mark Wahlberg, who plays our good old protagonist John, um,
Yeah,
who wished for his teddy bear to come to life at a young age, and the wish came true. However, since that wish came true, he has to live it, and he basically lived his entire life with this teddy bear, and now he basically lives with him, and they smoke pot on the couch. So yeah,
yeah.
honestly, this is like, this is like a nice like twist on the type of magical wish of something to come to life concept. It's a it's like you can understand where this concept may go, but like it's it's not that bad like in terms of what they do with it.
Yeah, thing is, one of the first things I have to say about this movie is like, weirdly enough, it's genuine on a technical level. Like Ted is unironically really, really impressive. Like the CGI on Ted is actually incredible. Like for
I
what it
wouldn't say
is,
it's
it looks good.
incredible, but it looks
Oh,
good.
it's
I'd say it looks
yeah,
good.
but yeah, it's like really like well done for what it is. And like so what they did is I don't know how many of you watching this are familiar with the behind the scenes of Ted, but because like in Family Guy, a lot of the jokes, like famous Godfather joke and jokes like that, they rely on the characters sound like they're like naturally bouncing off each other, like just casual conversation. And like in order to replicate that style of humor in this, they made it so that, like Seth actually like recorded his lines with all the other actors instead of it being like in post. Like, I need to find a video of it, but like it's really technically impressive how they were able to do everything. So like it sounds like Seth's usual humor, but like they were able to like CGI it. So it's like he had to be in like the distance while another guy was in like the motion capture, not motion capture, like filling in the part for Ted while Seth was like barely in the background out of shot. I just think that stuff's really impressive to me. And even if the actual movie isn't like doesn't live up to that at all, I think that's at least interesting
Yeah,
from like a
yeah,
technical angle.
yeah. He blends into the world well, and I think certain part it's decently well shot as well for a Seth MacFarlane movie. Decently some nice shots and lighting here and there. I think they just do a good job at integrating Ted into the real world. He
Yeah.
fits well, you know.
Yeah, I like the shots when like Ted and John are high at the Flash Gordon party. Like that the shots in that are like when they like tilt the camera so that like there's
Yeah,
the
there's
one
some
spinning
stakes
shot.
there.
It's visually creative at least. That's
Yeah,
in,
yeah, I'll give it that. It's not like amazing. It's not gonna win any awards, but like for what it is, there was some effort
it's like
involved.
the best directing of all time, but like it's better than like the average studio comedy at least, like a step above that like
Yeah.
tier,
So let's talk
I
about the
suppose.
actual movie because I have much more to say about that than the cinematography and the
Ah,
lighting
that's
in a
true.
Ted movie. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the jokes. There's some jokes, and I got a couple chuckles. I found some of it funny.
It's because I think Ted is weirdly hit and miss with its comedy. Like,
Yeah.
there's some jokes I unironically think are pretty funny. Like this
Uh
movie
huh.
has good
I
bits,
like
but
the
then some of it kind of falls into the traditional like McFarlane humor, and I'm like,
Yeah, like
okay,
there's this joke during the party scene where Ted points out, "Oh come on, I do not sound that much like Peter Griffin," and it's all like, "Haha, get it?" It's like Family Guy, you know. We were all thinking it. Hey, this teddy bear sounds like Peter Griffin. Isn't that funny? We pointed that out. It's so funny. I don't like jokes. I didn't like jokes like that.
yeah. Thing is, I kind of found that line funny in a morbid sense, but only because Seth MacFarlane's delivery is weirdly like funny to me sometimes, even if the actual line isn't funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, there's jokes like that that I don't think land as well nearly as much. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is definitely way funnier than the other two things we're talking about today. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, I'll give it that.
yeah,
It's the Yeah, I'll give that. I'll give it that. Uh it, the movie is not even that much about Ted himself if you think about it. It's more about John and him having to move on from his childhood in some way. You know how his fiance played by Mila Kunis once is like kind of sick of him just living with a teddy bear and getting high with him on the couch every day, and he wants him to move
yeah,
on more. And that's moderately understandable. Like it's a simple metaphor, but it's not the worst type of drama, you know. But like I guess
yeah.
there's some flaws in this, that I don't think like work that well from a writing standpoint. Like
Uh,
I think at times she feels a little overly unreasonable with him.
Yeah, some the main problem with me, like in the movie, is like this is actually a problem. A lot of McFarlane things happen. I wouldn't say this movie has a tone problem, but sometimes it's like, okay, you're gonna do jokes about how like Ted like smokes pot and like does orgasm impressions, and then like a couple minutes later, you want me to take this like relationship drama really seriously. Sometimes I don't think that stuff works as well. Like doesn't
Yeah, I mean,
as
or not.
much.
It's not major tonal shift, but it's like something that kind of hinders it at times, and it becomes a bigger issue with the other movies he made. But it's not as bad in this movie. But it's the sequel has a bigger problem with this, I'd say.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But at least in Ted One, I think for a good chunk of it, they were able to balance it like
Yeah.
decently. And they're not going to be blown away by this movie. There's not like
Uh huh.
amazing like character drama or like consistently great comedy, but like yeah, I think it works well decently for like parts of it
Yeah, I
at
think
least.
some stuff was funny, like Ted's interactions with this like crazy obsessed fan who kidnaps him, and it's like,
Oh yeah, I like him. That
yeah,
stuff's
that's
good.
some funny scenes. I think there's just a lot of funny back and forth between him and Ted, and how just creepy he is, and how he basically kidnaps him so he can play with his son, who rips his ear off and whatnot. And I do have
Yeah.
questions about. I won't complain about this too much, but I do have some questions about the world building, the lore with how the teddy bear came to life. But I'm not gonna say it's not. It's I'm not saying that like, oh, how did this bear just come to life, huh? You telling me that someone hasn't wished before for something to come to life, and how come this came to life? I don't know. It's like you think there's a higher chance.
Well, I can buy that.
I
That's
can
like the
buy that
one
a
simple
little.
like
I
thing
can.
they have
It's just
for
like
like
I have some
continue.
questions about how this teddy bear functions. You know how he gets high, how he smokes pot, how he drinks, how does he eat. I have questions. Just some questions.
That
It doesn't majorly hinder my enjoyment of the movie, but it's just like,
I don't really think about that stuff much. Like in another movie, maybe, but with something like Ted, I really don't like.
yeah, same. It's just something I feel like pointing out that I think is kind of funny to point out.
Yeah. But one of my favorite jokes in the movie, I think, is well, a lot of the comedy for me just comes from the fact, like, from the way they did it, they can actually have Ted and John like sort of like play off each other and like not a realistic way, but like they can have like actual banter with each other. And I think sometimes that can like work really. Like in some scenes, I just like the two main characters playing off each other a lot. It's not the peak of writing or anything, but I think they have like a John and Ted have a decent dynamic in
It's
this,
all right.
and like it's just fun. I don't know how to
Yeah,
describe it.
it's not
Play
really
off.
something I'm too into. Like I'm not too into or engaged into the plot. Like there's not too much to it if I'm being honest. And I think some of the relationship drama, well, I can understand what they're doing too. I think it just comes off as John's girlfriend Lori, who he attempts to propose to at some point, kind of, and they get married at the end of the movie. Spoilers, I guess. I don't know. I'll put that in the timestamps when I'm done editing this. But yeah, it's like I think it felt a bit unreasonable, like how like mad she gets at him when they have that big emotional breakup. It has that usual type of stuff. As that class. I don't know. But there's some funny moments, like I said. I love the scene. The scene that's iconic to me is the scene where Ted just beats the absolute shit out of John.
Oh, that is a great scene where he's like,
Yeah, it's
I'd rather
funny
get a
physical
Teddy
comedy. Like
Ruxpin,
they
and
they
then it's so funny. He just fucking charges at him.
it's funny.
It's
You
great.
can tell it's intentionally funny, but it's like they do a good job at like what. It's just a funny idea and funny image of them like of seeing this tiny teddy bear beat the absolute shit out of a
Reminds
grown
me of a
man.
like a low stakes like chicken fight or something like that. Actually, there's like a one Family Guy episode where the entire family beats each other up for no reason. That it reminded me of that for some reason. But like, nah, it's just that's a funny scene. How like they don't even play any like dramatic music behind it or anything. There's nothing, and you just hear like Ted scream and John. It's like that's one of the funnier scenes in the movie, in my opinion. I like the okay, I don't like it when they bring back the gag, but I like the first joke about Ted insulting his boss and then he gets the job. That
Oh
part's
yeah,
funny.
that was funny. Like no one's. I mean, it's like a cliche joke in some way. I think we've seen that before, but like,
Oh, like you
it's
see that stuff, but like played straight. But the fact that he's like, "I hate this job. I hate you," and he's
like
like,
he's trying
"Oh
to
man,
get
no."
fired, but it completely backfires on
He's like,
him.
"No one had the
It's
guts to
funny.
tell me."
It's funny. Like
Right.
I don't know. I honestly found this certain parts like that just kind of amusingly funny in some way. And while like there are a couple of unfunny moments, like I guess they're just like some moments that like I've said as an example earlier, jokes like that
Only
just
joke
kind of
I
makes.
actively like don't like is when like it was when they go when Lori and John go back to the apartment
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
then
That
and then
yeah.
then there's the like the
The
jokes that one
poop.
of the hookers took a
Oh
shit on the floor. I
yeah,
don't like that
yeah.
joke. But,
That was just yeah. I don't like those type of jokes in movies. It's just trying to be gross
uh,
for the sake of being gross. Yeah, I don't know. There's some jokes like that, like kind of that just like take me out of it and just feel so basic and unclever like that. And the whole Ted teddy bear mentioning that he sounds like Peter Griffin, self-aware. It just feels like kind of out of nowhere and kind of dumb. And like I don't know, the
yeah,
drama isn't perfectly handled, but for what did they do a decent job at it, I guess. And then they like I don't know, they do a weird job of tying it into Ted being kidnapped by this crazy fan. And there's some funny moments with that subplot, I guess. Like at least they gave Ted something to do, which yeah, and there's just like some stupid moments. I don't know. Like there's this that one scene when Ted and John go on a double date, and then like their girlfriends just get into an argument,
oh yeah,
and
Ted's girlfriend is like barely a character in this movie. All her joke is that like she's me- she's mean. I get. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really do much, even though she's like really
She's
important to the
sassy.
second movie
That's
for
funny.
some reason. It's that scene's
Yeah.
one of the weaker comedic scenes. And like actually now that while you
Yeah.
were mentioning the villain earlier, like the guy who kidnaps Ted, that kind of reminds me of another one of the problems I have. Like so there's those guys, like the guy and his son who want to kidnap Ted because they just want the Ted bear. And then there's also Laurie's boss played by Joel
Oh yeah.
McHale. Who's there and like I just realized when thinking about it, like literally like he doesn't really add much except for like I guess a driving force for
For John to
John to
want to
get
live.
back with
Yeah.
Lori, which is weird because like they do the thing where John interrupts the concert they go to, and then he goes Lori leaves him and they do a fart joke, but then they like
Hmm.
for the rest of the movie. I don't think they ever cut back to him after that. So it's just like, well,
Yeah.
is that
He's
just
just kind of there just to
gonna
create some
they
forced
kind like
tension for the
they kind of just
plot.
forget about him in the third act. They don't really have any resolution with him. He just
Yeah.
kind of leaves. Like his last thing in the movie is a fart joke, and then he's gone.
Yeah. It's
Kind of weird,
Yep.
but
Yeah. I like some. There's some funny gag. There's this funny gag with Patrick Warburton finding out that he's gay. So
oh yeah,
there's a
and then
funny.
Ryan Reynolds, like
Ryan Reynolds
yeah,
just shows up.
just funny because I think that's genuinely funnier than any of his other roles. Like he didn't say anything, but it's really like he's
Yeah.
there. And then he like shows up for like 10 seconds, and then he leaves. It's
He's
really
also in
funny.
A Million Ways to Die in the West, which we'll get to that later. Like as a very small blink and you'll miss it cameo.
Oh yeah,
So
he is. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Uh,
it's like yeah. There was also like he was also in this like one Family Guy episode where
yeah,
he
and that
thinks
also
that
has a
Ryan
joke about him
Reynolds
being
is
gay.
in love with him. It's a really
Yeah.
stupid. It's like
Yeah,
yeah,
Ryan Reynolds and the Seth verse is a weirdly common occurrence, and I don't like that.
yeah.
It's
It's a
weird.
very hit or miss. There's stuff I like, some stuff I don't like, and it's overall just not really anything amazing. But for what it was, I have the perfectly serviceable, mediocre, moderately fun time with it. I would lying if I said I did have some fun with it and had a decent amount of chuckles while watching this movie.
Yeah, I weirdly enjoy this movie way more than I should. Like
Yeah,
it's not that good. It's not that good, but I have like a lot like both times I've watched this, I've had a lot of fun with it. Like I'm not gonna give it a really high rating since I'm gonna be this isn't that good of a movie, but I do like it. And that's the main takeaway here.
yeah.
Ted?
I had fun with it. Like like I said, some of the drama between John and Lori feels a bit forced. Like with how they like break up with each other, and certain stuff isn't really tied together well, and it's not. And there's a funny moments here and there, but for every funny moment, we got a couple of ones that feel like forced and don't
Yeah.
really land.
I'd say overall the comedy is mainly just like a mixed bag. Like I can't
It's
really
very
like
it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. Pretty hit or
yeah.
miss. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, I don't think I have too much else to say now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think I actually, you know what? I do have one. I two more notes. I didn't like notes. I just two things in my head I want to bring up. One, I love the Thunder Buddies joke.
Yeah,
That's a great.
yeah, like when,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
John's still
and
scared of
and
thunder, so they're Thunder buddies because they're both scared of thunder.
fuck you, Thunder. And then my second note is this movie weirdly has good music. Like I don't know if you noticed this, but so they do this. The song in the opening credits is unironically really good. I like that song. And then I don't like 'cause it just the background music's also weirdly good. It has like that like
Yeah, I'd
kind of
say
jazz music Seth like
I'd say
it's
Ted is a, yeah, I agree. I'd say Ted is kind of a guilty pleasure. Yeah.
yeah I'd consider it that too. Like it's not that good, but shut up. It's fun.
It's an enjoyable watch for what it is, and I can understand what Seth tried to do with his first film, and I think for what he was trying to do, he did an all right job with it. You know?
Yeah, it could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse.
Also, a weird
Although,
plot thing. I know I brought up earlier how the fact that this teddy bear's alive doesn't make much sense, but one thing I want to bring up. So I understand the idea of I like the idea of Ted becoming a celebrity after being like the world's first talking teddy bear, because like that's realistic. Only for him to fall into obscurity after people like seen everything and they just don't give a crap. I feel like they should
yeah.
more people during the movie. I don't know. Should have still had a more of a reaction of seeing Ted walk around. Just
See,
more
I
of a
get that, but I
reaction.
find it funnier that like it's been so long that literally no one cares. Like
Yeah, I
everyone's just
know. It's just
accustomed to
like
the fact
something
that
I
it's a
thought
regular
was
teddy
funny to
bear.
point out.
Yeah,
But
no,
like,
I
yeah,
get.
these these small plot holes and contrivances aren't really anything that's gonna really majorly hinder my enjoyment over the movie. Mainly because the movie itself doesn't take itself that seriously when it comes to this stuff. So yeah, performance
Yeah,
is fine. I'd say everyone does a decently solid job. I'd say. Uh,
Seth MacFarlane does a great job as
Yeah,
Ted.
I know he's just doing his Peter Griffin voice, but I feel like it kind of fits for the bear. Kind of
And that
fits
fits
in
him
this
well.
case.
It's funny.
Yeah,
It works.
yeah. It's not funny when they point that out, but it's still.
And
Um,
also, actually, one more. Actually, I have one more thing. This is really random, but in the opening credits, I noticed that a guy who worked on this movie is named Matt Walsh. And if you
oh
are stuck
God.
with that name, I apologize
Oh,
humbly because it's not the same Matt Walsh, but obviously, but that's my and also final random note. This isn't really a note, just something I want to say. If this movie came out in Family Guy's golden age, it would unironically be like amazing. I can see this concept working in like Seth's earlier career where he's like his comedy's way less hit and miss.
yeah.
If this came out in like 2003, it'd be the best movie
In
ever
terms
made.
of tone,
That's
it
my
definitely feels like almost like an early Family Guy episode, but not a bad one.
yeah.
A decent one, I'd say. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can go check out Ted if you want. I'm
I
giving
would
it.
recommend it if you like mildly enjoy. If you like have a decent time with Family Guy, you will have a decent time with this. That is the
Yeah.
main
Uh
takeaway.
huh. I'm gonna give Ted a 5 out of 10. Not very good, but for what it was, I had a decent time.
Yeah, I originally had this
Perfectly
out of
adequate.
5, but I was feeling nice, so I'm giving this one a generous 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's my main takeaway.
Fair.
Thank you.
Fair. Yeah. So that was Ted. Now, let's quickly move on to A Million Ways to Die in the West, Seth's second film,
Oh
but
boy.
he's starring in it. He
Yeah. Well,
himself.
technically, he
He's
starred in Ted. Like he was just doing voiceover, like he always is.
yeah.
This is Seth in
He's
the
on.
flesh.
He's in the flesh. He's an on-screen actor, and he's in the West now. He's in the West. He's in the Wild West, the good old West, and yeah. This is I guess this film fucking sucks.
This is
It is
This is
what a
one of
step down from Ted, honestly.
genuinely. This is probably one of the worst things made by Seth MacFarlane that I have seen.
I
I
mean,
am
I don't know. There's
confident in
probably a
saying that.
lot of worse Family Guy episodes, but
You could
damn,
find like handfuls of Family Guys that are worse, but if we're talking
yeah,
we're talking outside of that, I think this might be like the worst. Definitely his worst live action thing. I'll say that much. But
yeah,
thing is, the thing is, main. I think okay. So talking about this movie, you have to like, partially talk about Ted too as well. Mainly because he had to work on this movie and Ted 2 at the same time. And even though I don't think either would be good on their own, considering their concepts, the fact that he had to work on this and work on Ted 2 at the same time diminished the quality of both. And you can see that because
yeah.
this movie
We'll
just
get to
doesn't
Ted
have
2
like.
later though, but yeah,
Yeah, but with A Million Ways to Die in the West, there's like,
there's barely a
for
plot to be
starters,
honest.
yeah, it's another Seth MacFarlane relationship drama, except the drama is even more lame than it is in well, I don't even think it's lame in Ted, but just way, way worse done. And you're supposed to feel bad for Seth. The problem is actually it's like that's the main problem in this movie. Seth MacFarlane, at least in this show, does not work as the main character. He sounds so smug in all of his scenes, and it's genuinely obnoxious to sit through.
Yeah,
Everything
it's just
Seth
like,
says in this movie,
yeah,
so
it's just
annoying.
this film is just like there's barely a plot, you know. Seth, who Seth, I'm calling him Seth. He's Seth MacFarlane's character.
I want to say his name
Albert,
is. Oh,
Albert, that's
I
his
was
name,
gonna say I
Albert.
guess
His
Albert.
name is
Alright.
Albert. His name is Albert Stark. That's his name. Albert Stark breaks up with it. His girl has a falling out with his girlfriend, and now things happen. Now, I don't know. He tries to win her back. I guess he
I guess
attempts to win her
Liam
back.
Neeson. Well, and then Liam Neeson is involved in it somehow because I guess he's the
Yeah,
villain.
because
I guess is what I'm saying.
apparently Liam Neeson's character is dating um, another girl who's coming to town, who's
Oh,
Seth.
and Neil Patrick Harris. Let's not forget him. He
Oh,
takes
Neil
a shit in
Patrick
a hat
Harris.
in this
He
movie.
was bad in this movie. He did not do good in this movie. His accent in this movie was just so awkward. It just felt so weird, and his fake mustache is just so. It's just like, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I don't. A Million Ways to Die in the West is it's a really annoying movie. I
yeah, and like I think most of that, like I said, just comes down to like, because Seth doesn't work as an everyman. A lot of this movie is Seth just being passive aggressive, and it makes none of the. Because like, thing is, in Ted, like we went over, Ted is not a great movie, but you have John who's just like this average everyday guy who's like trying to like support his girlfriend and also has want to have fun with his friend. He has like you feel like he's kind of a likable protagonist. He's not like the best in the world, but he works for what the story is. But in this, if you can't get attached to the main character, you can't get attached to any of the emotional conflict that's going on. And then all the emotion just falls flat on its
yeah, the
face.
movie
It
wants
doesn't
you to
work.
like the main character, but he's just so unlikable. he half of the movie is just him complaining and whining about
Every time
living
he
in the
complains, it's
old
so
west. He
annoying.
just
Like,
he just vents about the old west. And sure, the old west is shitty, but like, maybe do something about it. If it's so shitty, why are you waiting till now to move out of the old west?
it's it's weird because a
He
lot of the
says it's because of his girlfriend, but why couldn't they just move together? I highly doubt she likes living in the old west too.
and also they break up later, so theoretically he could leave if he really hates it that much.
Yeah, like just leave.
For the
What are
record.
you doing? And then
Yeah.
and then this like random cowgirl who I don't remember her name comes to town and then like helps Seth trying to win her back, I guess. And like this gun, and like in this, I don't know. There's barely anything happening in this movie. It's like he's just so he barely he's just a he's just unlikable. There's just nothing really to him. I don't care that his girlfriend broke up with him. We barely saw anything of their relationship before they broke up with it. We don't even know what the relationship was like, but I'm assuming it was toxic. So like, why should I care?
Because like the thing is, if a move, I'm gonna probably make at least a couple more Ted comparisons because even though Ted's not great, it's way better than this movie. But like with Ted, the story clearly has like some form of stakes to it because like even in the opening, you see what Johnny and Ted's relationship is like, so you care about them. And then you see brief bits of Johnny and Lori together. So you're like, oh, you care about
Yeah.
them too. Like there's clearly investment in like the relationship drama going on. But this, you don't really see any of Seth and his old girlfriend. And then this new girlfriend, like this new cowgirl, she has no personality. So you're not invested in them bonding. And like we said, Seth's just an asshole. So it's like,
He's just so unlikable.
what is there to get attached to?
Yeah, there's
And
nothing.
even though, and the thing is, it's like to actually, I can compare this to Seth's other works a lot. In this, I probably will. But to compare it to Family Guy, there are some episodes of Family Guy where characters, frankly, they are awful people. They are like terrible to each other. But I will say, in some episodes of Family Guy, the characters can be unlikable as they want. I will not care because it is really funny. This is my peak example. I don't know if you've seen this one, but the season 4 episode PTV, Peter is really unlikable in that episode. He like makes his own TV network out of spite. He doesn't listen to Lois. He makes fun of Meg like usual. He's kind of an ass in that episode, but that is one of my favorite episodes of Family Guy because it is really, really funny. Nearly every joke lands. It has a banger song. It has a good point. Everything about that episode is really, really funny. The thing is, something like this, the characters suck, then there's just nothing funny.
Yeah, it's not
Like,
funny at all.
the-
You gotta
one
love
of the
scene
headlining jokes in this movie is when Neil Patrick Harris's character has to take a shit in his hat.
It goes on for like 2 minutes straight, and they like, is that a joke? Is that supposed to be a joke? There's so many moments like that in this movie. It's like,
To be honest, my least favorite joke in this movie might be when Seth goes on his big rant about the Old West. Like, that's so annoying.
hey, look, our mayor's dead. Everyone's dead. It's so pathetic. And what the title? It's called A Million Ways to Die in the West because there's a lot of ways you can die in the West. I guess, but like,
I don't really even focus on that. Like, they have Seth a
people
big
just
monologue.
die in absurd
Which, by the
ways,
way,
like by an ice.
that
block.
scene isn't even. That scene isn't even really a joke. He just monologues like to himself.
Yeah,
It's
there's
so
just tons of moments like that that just don't feel like jokes. They're just not
Yeah,
jokes.
so
They're just
weird.
so lame. It's not funny. I didn't. None of the characters are likable. They're all unlikable, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah. Seth MacFarlane has his friend who's a virgin who is married to like a prostitute, and it's like that goes nowhere.
The whole joke that they tell is that they have to say that they have to wait to have sex until they're
Because
married, and she's a prostitute. It's like, and that's the whole joke, and like,
the whole joke.
and it's so like such a lame. Like, I'm like,
So
if you
lame.
could have a
It's so
character who's one gag but they're like funny, I can forgive it.
And
but
you do something
it's just
with
not
the
a good
I
gag.
guess. It's just
It just
uh,
also make two more actually, one's a Ted comparison and one just a note. So in Ted, the pop culture and gaggy nature works way better for Ted because in Ted you can pop into like any like there's a lot of jokes that just pop into like a random scenario or situation and like or they can make a random pop culture reference and it fits because that's what John and like Ted's character that's what John and Ted's characters are. They're like pop culture people who like make stupid jokes to each other about stuff. So when there's like pop culture like reference stuff or random like stupid gags, it fits better there. It does the gags don't fit Albert, I guess his name, his
Albert.
character. And also when they do they only do reference humor like I think once or twice, but when they do it's so putting. Like when they cut to Doc Brown from Back to the
Oh
Future
my god,
3.
that was such a stupid moment.
It's a
Oh my
bad that's such
gosh.
a bad
They just
scene.
randomly like I it's such a dumb moment. Okay, so like haha, get it cuz Back to the Future 3 takes place in the western, so like
Which technically I if I like
it's a really
doesn't
dumb
even
joke.
work.
It's just
It's
it
like
doesn't even
logically.
make the joke doesn't even make sense if you like it doesn't even feel like it takes place in the old west, nor does it feel like a parody of the old west because they don't really do anything other than monologue of how shitty the old west is. Like it's just like it's just I don't even know. It doesn't even need to be a western. You could basically replace any setting, any like shitty one rundown setting, and it's like it could you could just tweak the plot easily, only a bit, and
You
like
can like
most of
edit a
the plot
couple
beats
things
will
and
be
it
the same.
fits. So
Yeah,
stupid.
gotta
But
love the gags with such as the all the insane dumb sheep that Seth has to take care of, or Albert or whatever.
do you like the mustache song?
Oh yeah, the freaking mustache song from that bar scene, sang by Neil Patrick Harris.
Do you like the goat penis?
Uh, do you like the do you like all the goat jokes? Did you like how one of the sheeps are just, just do you like the sheeps? Do you like poop jokes? Do you like the freaking hat shit scene that goes on for 2 minutes? I can't stress that's just the worst
Do
joke in
you
the
like the
movie.
famous guy gets crushed by ice gag?
Oh wow, yeah, such a
Like where Seth says
what
that
about
went south so fast. That
yeah.
famous gag.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
There's just so many random gags that just sound
yeah.
dumb.
Also, another thing, I have like a lot. I have weirdly a lot of stuff I want to know about this movie. But I get the thing is cinematography in a Seth MacFarlane production. I don't care about much. But the thing is, this is like a weird comparison to make. But I think if you're doing like a genre parody, which I guess this is technically a western, even though it's like not really. Like it technically is in the western genre, but it doesn't go stick too much. I think if you're doing a comedy movie that's supposed to lampoon one genre, it's way funnier if you can make the movie look as close to that genre as possible. Like this is a really random example to bring up. This might sound weird, but Blazing Saddles, that movie is funny because it looks like a western, like in terms of how it's shot and everything. And then you go into it, and it's like a comedy about racism. Like, there's something about like I
Yeah,
like so
and
like
a
that's like
very
the closest
zany,
example.
hilarious comedy that
Yeah,
honestly, this movie makes me want to rewatch Blazing Saddles.
yeah. But like the thing is, you could do something like that where it's like so close. The thing is, the look of this movie, it
Doesn't
looks
give
like
off
an
a
SNL sketch.
Western.
It, like
Yeah, it does. It does
and
not.
like all the characters look like they have like SNL costumes on. The lighting is just generic studio lighting. And I know these seem like minor things to compare about, but the way a certain movie is shot or look, even if it's minor, that can still affect how funny something is like overall. Like I don't know, like Blazing Saddles was like my main example. Like there's like a lot of like genre parody movies. Right? Yeah, something like Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead or like a lot of Edgar Wright's movies actually. If you can get as close to looking like what you're parodying, the humor will be way funnier. And I don't know. And even Ted kind of gets this because Ted has like some dynamic shots and like it's not amazing, but like there's stuff in it and like
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Million Ways to Die in the West is like Seth's worst movie easily.
Yeah.
Just so
Uh, uh,
so bad.
yeah. The love story itself is also kind of like just generically lame. You know, it's like just Seth is originally trying to win back his old girlfriend, but then all along the way, it turns out the person who was helping him achieve that goal was the person who he should have fallen in love with the entire time. It's just wow, how uh how captivating, how
Also,
engaging.
like I don't buy their like romance. They barely have any chemistry
Yeah,
before
that's
anything.
true.
It
Yeah,
doesn't work
it
at
just
all.
doesn't work. Nothing works, honestly. Maybe I had one chuckle. I don't know. Uh,
My only chuckle, if I'm being honest, my only chuckle was near the like that Doc Brown joke you mentioned. That is a bad
that
joke. That made me
yeah,
laugh
there
at how
are.
stupid it is.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes I do that. Sometimes there's a bunch of like near the ending when Liam Neeson dies after Seth kills him, and how he explains how he did it in the first place, but he's already dead. That's a bad joke, but I don't know why. I just stupidly chuckled at that.
actually, wait, no, I just remembered another one of this movie's worst jokes. The famous Seth MacFarlane takes a phone call in the middle of a duel scene. You remember that classic joke
No,
where
actually,
they're in
no.
like a duel, I think, and Seth MacFarlane has to like answer his phone or something. I remember this. This was a really. I think it's at the
But
opening. I think.
don't phones not exist in the old west?
No, I remember this. This is just, or like he gets like called or something. So the opening scene has like one of the famous Seth MacFarlane joke where a scene goes on too long, gags.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that we're just rambling. And keep in mind that does work. The Godfather joke, really funny. Jokes like that
I
work.
did not care for
Some
the
Seth
character.
ramblings do not at all.
Yeah.
But
Also, there's what about Liam? One last thing. Probably gonna wrap this segment up in a bit. Also, Liam Neeson's plays the villain, and he barely has a presence throughout the entire movie. Like he
you
just
barely
shows up
even
near
feel
the
that
end.
there's a villain.
Yeah,
Like,
he
there's nothing.
barely does anything. Like we're supposed to be intimidated by him, but he does barely anything for us to be intimidated by him because he has barely any presence throughout the entire movie. So, yeah,
Yeah,
mm, it's like
I'm trying to look here.
uh,
I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say.
yeah, I don't think
You know what I will say though is for a drug like the drug trips like you know I remember the one
oh
joke I
yeah,
like
the
in one of like the drug trips slash flashback thing Seth goes on.
oh yeah,
The mayor of the town is played by Gilbert Godfrey, and because he's like
oh
that
that
I
was
like
fun.
him.
I like Gilbert
But other than
Godfrey.
that, I got
Yeah,
nothing.
the
I got nothing.
Gilbert Godfrey cameo. That's the one thing I like. Sure. Yeah. Um, I don't know. That was such a forced. That scene had no purpose. It was like the pink elephant scene from Dumbo, but except not well animated.
Hmm.
Yeah, that scene was thrown in because Seth runs away and then he just finds this tribe and then gets high and then leaves. It's just why. So yeah, um, I'm giving this. I don't think I have anything else to say. Uh,
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll give it a 2 out of 10. A little harsh, but just fucking terrible. Worse than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest. It's just so
Yeah,
lame.
2 out of 10. Worst, one of the worst Seth things. Not in. Oh, that's another thing. I don't know if we brought up this movie's also really boring. Like it's not on
Yeah,
top of
it's
this and
pretty
all top.
boring. It's pretty just. It's just not a fun watch at all. Just so lame. Like it's not even like funny, like bad. Like I'd say I don't know. Just it's bad. 2 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, Seth.
terrible
It's
in my
weird because
opinion.
maybe there was potential for Seth to make a Western parody, but he just didn't commit it to it and didn't write enjoyable characters or good jokes. So just all fell downhill.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was A Million Ways to Die in the
Mm.
West. Now
Alright.
I guess we'll end on Ted 2. Ted
All
2.
right.
Um,
Head two
Ted 2
is
is a weird one. It's a weird one. Ted 2
Head
is just
two is in the middle of both of these movies, but I wouldn't say it's middle, as in it's in between those in quality. It's still really, really bad,
yeah, Ted
but
2
it
is
is
bad
improvement
and
over the
like
last movie.
surprising. It sucks. It's a film that doesn't work at all. But like it's more there's a lot of those moments that I think I'll remember. It feels like Ted 2 feels like a bad Family Guy episode. And A Million Ways to Die in
I
the
can
West does feel like that too. But I feel like Ted 2 feels more like in like there were a lot of ironic chuckles I got. Like there were not good jokes at all. There were stupid
Ted 2
jokes.
does not have any funny jokes, but it makes me a lot. Well, not any funny jokes. There are a couple, but
Yeah.
Ted 2 makes me laugh at stupid things like a lot.
I
Weirdly,
know. It's a
but the
bad
thing,
movie. It doesn't work at all. It sucks. I'd say 2 sucks. It's a bad movie. I didn't like it.
yeah,
Let's start off with
yeah.
my first issue. I noticed at the opening, they just apparently Lori is no longer
Oh
like
yeah, because they
they just
couldn't.
cut her out of the entire movie. Like they used the classic "we broke up" excuse, and I'm all like, so what was the point of his arc in the first movie?
Yeah, that's
That's
like it
like,
goes against his entire arc
yeah,
in like
like they
the
just
first
didn't
10.
they just
Doesn't work.
didn't think about that. Like what was the why? Why'd you do that? And it's all like I already had an issue. I didn't mention this in the TED segment, but like I feel like near the end, John everything just kind of goes back to normal by the end of it, and there wasn't really too much growth from the characters, which might be a bit of an issue I have with the first TED. But still, like basically makes a lot of the conflict in the first movie pointless, and it's just dumb. Just a dumb
No, they
thing
try
to
to give like
randomly
some
put.
excuse about how like John says that he can't be like his true self around her, so there's something stupid like that, which is really dumb. Because the whole point is he had like
Yeah,
a character arc
that was his
where he
whole.
could like grow
That was the
and
point
stuff.
of the first movie.
Yeah,
It's
but I
stupid.
guess we don't gotta worry about that because he's not even the well, he gets like his love interest who's really underdeveloped and a new one, and the
Yeah,
which is that's dumb. But no, it's not even about him. This Ted movie
it's about
is
Ted.
more
It's
focused on the
about Ted
titular
now.
Ted this
And
time.
you think that
Uh,
might be a good thing, but in this case, it really isn't. There's a lot
thing
going
is,
on in this. Like, the main plot is that Ted wants to have a baby with his wife after they got married now. But apparently, so we spent like the first, 20 minutes of Ted trying to get a sperm donor. They try to get it from Flash Gordon, who refuses. Oh, yeah, we didn't mention him, but he's like, I guess their idol. Uh,
yeah, I
um,
kind of like that stuff in Ted One. That stuff's
yeah, it's
wholesome,
all
but
right. Yeah, and then they ask Tom Brady, and they break into Tom Brady's house, and then they don't even end up getting the sperm, and then they just like, and then all of a sudden, it turns out John can just do it, and then near the end, it doesn't even matter because Ted can't even, because they can't even do it because of something with Ted's wife. And then now it's like, and then all of a sudden, apparently Ted can't even be a father because apparently he's not declared a human. But like, this makes no
which like
sense.
okay,
This
the
makes
main problem of so there's like a lot of holes in this movie's plot, which like
yeah, the
but, like
plot
the thing
doesn't
is
make much
the main
sense.
thing is main thing for this is like so for if Ted was apparently not considered able to legally be a human in any way,
Huh?
how come he was able to do stuff like get a job in the first
Yeah,
movie?
how did he get
You'd think
married?
that was a problem. He would have noticed. Yeah, how is marriage fine, but not um
Adoption,
adoption
and
or
then all
anything
of a
like that?
sudden he's not human, and then they need to hire a lawyer, I guess. And then they hire, and then there's a side plot with John trying to get back out there, I guess. And they spent time on a lot of dumb jokes. Like, there's this, like, random, I don't know, there's, like, this scene that's literally a Family Guy cutaway gag when they just yell improv suggestions at an
Yeah.
improv
Okay.
club.
Thing is, that joke's not good, but
It's
I
so
find it
dumb.
funny. I don't. When they go Robin Williams, he's like
Robin
Robin
Williams.
Williams on nine
It's just
eleven.
really,
It's
it's just
such a stupid
yeah. And
joke,
then
but
there's
it's
the
funny.
classic scene, the Sweet Caroline scene when they bring back
That's an
Cleveland.
that's a great scene.
Yeah,
Really, where Ted does the
it's a
iconic ba
genius.
ba
Bah,
ba.
bah, bah. There's also there's also the scene where just where they have to
Well, there's the famous.
destroy.
There's so much porn
Yeah, they
scene.
have to destroy John's laptop for all the
And
dirty
some
crap
people
he
say
has
that
on
joke
there.
goes on too long. When Ted starts naming John's porn, I understand that going on for
It
too
just
long.
yeah,
But
just
the end
okay.
but the end punchline where Ted's like, "Now we gotta bury you in the harbor," and then they
And then they
cuts to
go
them
scuba
swimming in
dive to
the
the
ocean
ocean just to
and
bury.
putting it.
It's so dumb. It's a dumb joke
That
done
part's that
for.
part's so stupid, but I find it funny for
Yeah,
some
certain
reason. I
jokes
don't.
go on for too long, but it's like I just chuckle at them because like how poor attempts they are at jokes and how funny they think they are with it.
Yeah.
It's just like
Also, speaking of that joke specifically, I think this movie is like feels way more like Family Guy than Ted One did. And I know
oh
it's
yeah.
weird because like you think Ted, you think
I'd say
Family Guy, which
modern
yeah,
fam.
there's
Ted feels more
there's
like early Family Guy. Ted 2 feels
you
more like modern Family Guy.
because Ted Two, they literally just do cutaways. They'll just
They do
cut to like
They just do
random scenes.
cutaways at times.
Which feels even weirder because it's in live action, so cutting to
Ted
random
One
things in live
sorta
action.
did this, but it wasn't as like drastic. It was like
Ted
maybe
One
one
has like I
time they
think
did.
one or two cutaway gags, but I think it fits better in what. Well, this doesn't feel as out of place. In Ted Two, it's like just feels so weird, like how those
Yeah.
cut. And thing is, speaking of like Ted himself and like all that stuff, like the thing is, Ted One, you got John, right? And he's not the like I said, he's not the best protagonist, but like he works for what it is. But thing is,
Yeah.
in this one, they're focusing not on John. We're doing Ted. And the thing about that is what is it? I Ted's fine in the first movie, like he's funny, obviously. But Ted is not a leading, which is ironic. He's because he's all over everything. Ted does not work as the leading
I
man
just don't.
because
Yeah, he doesn't.
he doesn't have much of like he's like his
Yeah.
personalities that he smokes pot, that he does like, and he like
Uh-huh.
just loafs around. And like yeah, it works. It works in a two-person dynamic when he has someone to play off of. But when Ted's just on his own, doesn't work. And also, like I said, we have her like Ted's wife from the first movie, who's more important than this. But she's just like a joke gag. And when you make her a serious character, it doesn't work. She doesn't have like an actual personality. So
Yeah.
and the relationship drama in them is based on them. Well, I guess there's John and the new love interest, but they like how they're. It's mainly about Ted
Yeah.
and his wife, but because neither of them have like that much of a like dynamic personality, there's not nearly as much to get invested in as in the
Uh-huh.
first Ted. You're just kind of like left there with nothing, kind
Yeah.
of scratching
I
your
think
head.
yeah.
Everything.
They even redo some stuff. Like they redo the ending thing of like Ted. They do the thing with like John pretending that he's dead. Like Ted was pretending, like they was dumb after
Yeah.
after he died. Oh yeah, he nearly died at the end of the first one. We didn't mention that in the discussion because we didn't have much. But yeah, they
Oh yeah.
basically redo that fake out death with Ted and John. And I mean, they basically redo John's growth from the first film, which like I said, wasn't major. I guess like it wasn't like. Yeah, like he doesn't really have to sacrifice anything too big. Like he basically just keeps the life he already had. But still, he had some kind of growth. It's just kind of like undone now. And then they bring in this other love interest who's just kind of like she's just kind of there, doesn't really do much.
They
Uh
try to explicitly make like a point that I think she's
yeah.
supposed to be more like John in personality, but she doesn't really have anything on her
Uh-huh.
own.
Yeah,
Like
so
they have like a couple scenes together. They have the iconic F. Scott Fitzgerald scene.
they have
Uh,
the new Superman is Jonah Hill.
yeah, which is honestly one of the more overrated head gags. Like it's not that funny. Like settle down, settle down.
There's some funny
There's the iconic Ted driving car into a barn gag.
oh
The
yeah.
iconic Ted driving car into barn gag.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's a classic. Yeah, you got the tricks are for kids scene when Liam Neeson comes into the bar and then he just like says
Who's also
he's
in A Million Ways to Die in the West. So I
yeah
guess he was in
he's
this.
better in this. It's a stupid attempt at a joke of him like you see it says in the commercial that tricks are for kids and he thinks it's illegal for an adult to purchase them. Get it? There's just so many moments like that, and the plot, like I said, doesn't work at all because like everyone all of a sudden just declares that Ted is not a human. And like, sure, he technically isn't, but like, He's basically given sentience. He walks around every day. Why is this discussion just happening
It's weird how
now?
it just happens like now.
He's a
It's so weird. And then the movie
celebrity.
just
I think that
and
should
then
have
it
been
just
declared
evolves
a
into
long
like
time
a
ago.
court drama like after.
Yeah,
It just
Ted
gets
was like
weird.
became like a celebrity when he became like the world's first like talking teddy bear. So like now it's just like now this is a problem. It's just dumb for the sake of
Yeah,
it.
like if you think in his time that he was actually in the public eye, you think someone would address it. But that just only happened in this very specific instance, like after the famous sperm scene,
Oh yeah,
that
that
iconic
sucks.
scene.
That was
But
such a that scene was just gross for the sake of being gross. In general, I don't know if I'm that big of a fan of gross out humor. So
you
yeah,
know, Ted does not. At least this movie doesn't do it that well when they try it.
yeah.
Sucks.
So
But
there is something. Uh, like I said, there's moments like that, but like it just kind of goes all over the place. They end up going to Comic Con. They randomly bring the villain from the first movie back.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about the Comic Con. The Comic Con stuff is so bad. Like,
Yeah, they just
don't even foreshadow. He just kind of at Comic Con, I guess.
they just kind of appear there, and then the villain tries to like team up with the CEO of Hasbro to start like, I don't know, just start. I guess just try and spread what makes Ted him alive to the world, and it doesn't even make much sense because like, isn't it stated that it's just from a wish? Like, I don't think they can just harness that magic.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't really even like
Also, you
work.
think that the Hasbro CEO would have tried to do that as soon as he heard that one of his teddy bears came to life, you know?
Yeah.
Just like that's kind of there's just stuff like that just doesn't make it just like that's the entire basis of the plot just doesn't make sense and it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah. Also, one thing I do want to bring up. This is kind of a combination of two different Family Guy episodes, and so it's like Brian Portrait of a Dog combined with Screwed the Pooch.
Mm.
And for
I
the
like
record, both
the
those,
Brian Portrait of the Dog episode though.
yeah, that episode's actually really great. I recommend it a lot. That's like this episode better, and then it also makes more sense since when you go into the episode, that like the rights of dogs in the Family Guy universe already makes sense. So it makes sense. Like Brian's character drama makes sense. And then Screwed the Pooch is kind of the same thing, where it's about like Brian wanting to have the rights to raise his puppies, which is kind of what happens in this. That episode's really sweet. Actually, I'd recommend both of
I
them if
guess
you're
it's
interested.
that, but except
Honestly,
bad.
and they combine those, and it also makes less sense. And also, both of those episodes are really funny, and this isn't. So
Yeah. Like
keep in
it
mind
just
if
there's
you
just
want this
these
done good.
yeah, there's just
Those,
those annoying attempts at humor just comes off as obnoxious. They also have a very forced argument breakup between John and Ted, which just doesn't make sense after Ted basically tried to get John with the lawyer for the whole movie and then all of a sudden he just gets mad at them.
yeah, it's really
It's a
dumb.
really
Like
forced
things
conflict.
like
And
the
it's just
comparator. I know I compared to Ted One a lot. I only have that movie at a 6, but shut up, I like it. But anyway, in like Ted One, they make like the I think one of the main like the best parts. The movie is not that great at drama overall. I do think the argument scene at least works on like some level because like John is at his breaking point and like, but then Ted like is able to counteract it because like deep down it's not really Ted's fault. John's the one who always chooses to go with whatever Ted's doing.
yeah.
Stuff works better. It's like it's cliched. Yeah, it's the near the third act. We gotta have like the end of Act Two, start of Act Three breakup. But I think it works way better in this. But in this, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it
Really.
just feels forced
Yeah.
and doesn't make much sense. They bring back gags from the first film, like the villain doing that dance again. Like I said, the fake out death being a joke. They bring Patrick Warburton back with his whole.
And,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
honestly, I don't mind that joke's still kind of funny. I guess. I don't know.
And
Like, I don't know. This film's a lot of the humor is kind of obnoxious, but it's at the same time like ironically funny. You know, it's a dumb movie. It
yeah, some of
sucks,
it is.
but yeah,
But also that's another thing. Like, this movie, like this movie does not need to be
Yeah.
nearly 2 hours at all.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like an hour
They just
55.
waste
It is
time on random
way
stuff.
too long for itself. Like you
Yeah.
could cut the last like not last first like 20 like
Yeah.
realistically you could just have it. Oh, Ted wants to have a baby. We go to the lawyer place. No, we can't.
Yeah,
All
the
right,
plot just
conflict starts.
bounces all over the place. Halfway it becomes a road trip to this place. They get Morgan Freeman to hopefully be their new lawyer, only for him to say no. But after like
Actually,
John saves Ted, I guess, then all of a sudden he
the
wants to be
lawyer
his
stuff might be
lawyer,
like
and then he
the lawyer stuff,
basically
but
yeah, and then he just basically what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so the road trip stuff, I think might be a carryover from because one of the original concept they were gonna do for this movie is gonna be about Ted and John smuggling weed across the country. It's gonna
Oh,
be a road trip movie. Did you hear about this?
oh, no.
Where probably
I
some of
mean,
the road
I
trip
think I
stuff
heard
came from,
actually.
but
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I heard
But
of
then they couldn't
about
get
some.
Mila Kunis, so they had to like pivot
Oh,
concepts.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
guess that's why she's not in this, which is kind of like, yeah, I guess that's why they had to use the classic "we
mm,
broke up" excuse. So it's just like,
off screen.
yeah,
Shit.
off screen. We broke up off screen. That's what happened. It's like, yeah, I did not like Ted 2. It's not good.
Who
What was I
sucks?
gonna say? Uh, it was yeah, like it becomes a starts to become a road trip movie halfway through, and then they go and see Morgan Freeman to be their lawyer for him to say no, and then like when he wins, he basically repeats like some of the stuff that the other girl lawyer already said, but like more profoundly, I guess. It's just dumb. You know, he just says it at the end. You know, it, if Ted can feel love, like they say that's what makes him human, but like he could always
You
feel
could have
love. So
proved
like,
that
why
already.
do they?
Like
Yeah,
that.
he could prove that already. Why does he have to like go through this growth? It's just dumb. Yeah, Ted 2. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. We've already
I
pointed
have
out
like
all of
I
them.
think I think maybe I have two or three other notes, but let me just look at hold on. Uh hey, that was like one other thing I think I was gonna say. I just want to take another shout out at the sperm joke. One of my favorite TED scenes.
Yeah,
Quick recommendation for that again.
yeah,
And okay, I do two more things. Also, look, I think we mentioned it, but the court stuff in general is just really not interesting at
uh-huh.
all. Like we
Yeah,
vaguely
Ted
mentioned
doesn't
that.
even take it that seriously. Yeah, both this
Yeah,
and A Million Ways to Die in the West just don't manage their tone well as well. Because, like,
yeah,
yeah, it just feels forced.
yeah. And I think that's basically it. Oh, and when Ted plays bad piggies in court, that joke was really stupid, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, I guess
The
so.
Ted and bad
Yeah, so
piggies
Ted
court
2 has
scene.
some iconically dumb moments, but it's still a bad movie at the end of the day. I don't have
Yeah.
anything else to
So,
say, but,
I don't think I do. Actually, no,
yeah.
I do have one more thing. Uh, if you, this is a very, very small portion of our audience, but if you are watching this and have a letterbox patron, I recommend you change the poster to Ted and John with their arms crossed. Uh, that is all.
Okay,
Thank
sure.
you.
That's for sure. Anyways, yeah.
Very
Um,
specific, but
very specific. There's this
but
moderately nice scene, I guess, when the main girl sings like this nice song on a campfire. It's a nice moment, I guess. That's the one of I guess
it's
in
fine
terms
on
of
its own, but in the context of the movie, it
kind of
doesn't
comes
like
out of nowhere.
work.
Yeah. Still, it's a
Mhm.
fine moment. I'd say one of the only times that I felt something while watching it, like felt something that was an ironic laughter. So yeah, I'm giving Ted
Mhm.
2 a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it three or two range, yeah. Because it's like at the end of the day, this isn't one of the most insufferable
It's
movies.
better than A
But
Million
there's
Ways
so
to Die
many
in the
as
West.
someone who like I know it sounds like cringe to say. I know like I'm weirdly invested in Seth MacFarlane's filmography,
Mm.
but it's like I've seen him do a lot better than this, and also there's just a lot of things this fails at, so it makes me kind of frustrated on that level.
Yeah,
So yeah, Ted 2, kind of sucks.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Uh, Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you were gonna say anything before you wrap up, but if you want something that's Seth MacFarlane live action and is actually like decent, I would recommend the Orville season one. I watched season one last year, and I'm hopefully gonna continue this show
Mm.
later this year
Maybe
because
one day we
I've
can
been
make a
genuine.
video on the Orville.
Ooh, I would like that actually. Like,
Yeah.
maybe someday I'll someday. But point is, that show is like the perfect balance of like there's Seth humor, and I'm gonna be the Seth humor in Orville's not that good, but it's like genuinely works like dramatic wise a lot of the time. And it's kind of charming how this like because I think that the Orville is like the main thing that Seth wants to do in his career. Like he's always been really passionate about Star Trek. He loves Star Trek. So that's like the main thing he's wanted to do. And like when you watch the show, you kind of feel that's like the main thing he cares about because all he just voice acts on Family Guy and he voice acts on American Dad. Is that the one thing Seth actually cares about now? Except for maybe the Ted show, we'll see.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah,
didn't mean to make
I
that a
was gonna say
tangent.
that
Just
Ted
that.
is getting a TV series apparently, which will be based off of the high school years of John and Ted, which is like at the same time Seth MacFarlane is gonna play Ted, but you think they change his voice a bit if this is like a high school version of Ted, because apparently Ted's voice has changed from when he was younger. I guess I don't know how that works, but still.
Maybe he'll do like a teenage Ted voice.
Okay,
Something
yeah,
like that.
maybe. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's about it. Thank you for watching another episode of Campy Cast.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot to say about all of these movies.
Yeah, it was fun looking at Seth MacFarlane's filmography. So yeah, uh, thank you for tuning in, and yeah, see ya.
Sperm
Bye.
joke from Ted
Yeah.
2. Bye.